Hey, this is Johnny from the Hangout Spot working for the Boxing Voice today, and I am here with former world champion, Pro Box TV's very own Chris Algieri. How you doing today, champ?
Good, good. Ready for fight night.
Oh, it's going to be a great one tonight, man. You got a great main event. You got Swift Jarrett Hurd against Jason Rosario. Do we expect fireworks in this fight?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the highest level from both corners that we've had on our TV air. You know, we've had former world champions before. Angelo Leo was a former world champion. We had Sergey Lipinets, a former world champion, but they weren't in with someone of caliber that they were. Now, tonight, we got two guys who are both undisputed, unified world champions fighting each other. So this is a huge step up for Pro Box TV, and I assume we're gonna have fireworks from start to finish.
And so this is a big fight too, because the middleweight division, it's kind of starving for that one guy to kind of take it over, right? Do you think that this fight, the winner of this fight, has a potential to do that?
Mark my words, the winner of this fight gets the title fight.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now, this platform for Pro Box TV has shown that. Guys fight on our air, the next time you see them, they're in a big fight. Angelo Leo just actually won a world title coming off our air. He fought here 3 times. Very next fight, he fights for a world title on ESPN, he wins. You know, so this is becoming that kind of place. When you have two guys that are this caliber, they're making their quote-unquote comebacks now. They're in a division that is, like, as you said, somewhat sparse in terms of talent. There's no standout guy just yet. And then you got a guy like Jarrett Hurd, who's got a great name. He's got a great resume. You got Jason Rosario, same thing. Either one of these guys wins and looks, especially if they look spectacular, I'm going right to a title fight.
Oh, that's absolutely. And Angelo Leo, like you mentioned, man, knockout of the year candidate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And against who he did it against.
So that's
Bernardo Lopez.
So knockout of the year, yes. You just take that clip. You take the guy getting hit left hook, boom, he flat on his back, hits his head, bang. Oh man, what a great knockout. But you put it in the context of what happened. Underdog, 3.5-1 underdog, coming in off of a 2-year layoff. Nobody knew where he was. Comes out of nowhere, former world champion. Comes up a weight class. Fights a guy, Bernardo Lopez, who's in his 4th, 5th title defense. And then for him to do what he did that night, fight of the year, no doubt.
Oh, that's crazy. So
knockout of the year, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So 2 hot topics. So this week, Turki Al-Sheikh said on a podcast that nothing is impossible when it comes to possibly meeting Canelo's monetary demands for a future fight with Crawford and maybe Benavidez. What do you think about that? And do you think that something like that is likely to happen?
I mean, listen, he need 2 fights. The Crawford fight, I think, is maybe harder to make because Crawford. I mean, Canelo has literally come out and said that fight doesn't really do anything, doesn't interest me. If they throw enough money at it, sure. I mean, that fixes a lot of things. The Benavidez fight, I don't know. I know a lot of my contemporaries that Boy Manaji over there says that fight never happens. I think if there's enough money involved and there's certain stipulations that can be thrown in, you know, in terms of same-day weigh-ins, those kind of things, those kind of stipulations that can be made contractually, which Canelo will have the power to do, that fight could happen.
But it's funny because I interviewed David's father, Jose Benavidez Sr., a couple weeks ago. It's almost like they're over it. Like they're ready to move on, but they still want that fight.
Of course.
You know, and I think that's the fight that needs to be made. Who do you think wins if they do fight between Canelo and Benavidez?
I want to touch on that point, though, about they seem like they've moved on. I think they've been moving really smart. I think they've been moving very aggressively. They're moving like a champion. They're moving like a fighter. They're making all the decisions, all the interviews that I've seen. We've interviewed him on our air here on Pro Box TV a few times. Everything, he talks the talk, he walks the walk, he wants to fight all the best guys in the world. Obviously, he wants a Canelo fight. He thinks he can win that fight. He thinks he's going to win that fight. In terms of that fight actually happening and how do I see it, I mean, I think the weight is going to matter a lot. Obviously, it's going to have to be at 68. I don't think Canelo going up to 75 would behoove him. And then, like I said, if there's stipulations in terms of how much weight he's allowed to put on, that can really affect the fight. But I know, again, I'm gonna bring my man Paulie because I talk to him every day on Pro Box TV on our shows. Make sure you check him out. He thinks that Benavidez steamrolls him. I don't agree with that. I think that we got a fight on our hands, and I think that Benavidez is a spectacular fighter. I'm a huge fan of him and his style, but Canelo's still Canelo, man. And yes, a 33, going on 34-year-old Canelo isn't the same guy he was a few years ago, but even in that Munguia fight, he showed how exceptionally skilled he is at this level. And if you look at it, he is the most experienced fighter in the world today. In terms of how many champions he's fought, just the amount of fights he has, at the level that he's had it at, you know, so that experience goes a long way, and that's something that can't be taught. You got to earn it. So that's a very interesting matchup for me. I mean, we're far away from ever making that happen, but if it were to happen, I don't see it as a guaranteed win for either guy.
Yeah, no, I get that. I absolutely agree. And one last question, another hot topic, Shakur Stevenson, right? Who's he going to fight? Who's he going to sign with, right? Everybody wants to see him fight Tank, but it just got announced that he's going to be fighting Cordina in the co-main event, I believe, in the Bivol Benavidez, undisputed title fight for Riyadh season. How do you see that fight playing out?
I don't think Cordina is on his level at all. No, I think it's a fight. Personally, it doesn't do anything for me, but I think Shakur is just on an absolutely different level. Cordina's coming off a knockout loss in a lower weight class. Shakur is a good size 35-pounder, and he's physically strong. He's got amazing judge of distance, one of the best in the world. I mean, and his ability to shut off guys' offense, I don't see how that fight can be competitive.
Now, if he does get that Tank fight, how do you see that fight?
That's a whole nother story. Now we're talking. Now, like we were talking about it. Oh, people are like, oh, I think Tank's trainer's like, this is not a 50-50 fight because Tank has that one-punch power. If Shakur falls behind, how's he going to get back? Well, Shakur doesn't generally fall behind, and Davis tends to start slow. He's picking up, he's analyzing what's going on. He's a very high boxing IQ as well. People don't give him credit for that. Tank can box. But Shakur's ability to, like I said, to judge distance and disarm his opponents is his best ability, probably the best in the world at doing that. That's a matchup, man, that it needs to happen. It needs to happen soon. It needs to happen soon. These guys can't be 34 years old when this fight happens. They need to be doing this, sub 30. I know Tank's almost 30 now, right? Or he is 30.
Yeah.
Either way, it needs to happen now. It needs to happen in the next year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would personally go with Shakur. I know it's not the popular opinion. A lot of people are picking Tank, but in my opinion, you can't hurt what you can't hit. And I think he's one of the most gifted defensive fighters that we've seen today.
Teddy Atlas had a great analogy, and he said, it doesn't matter how much artillery the Tank has, if it can't deliver it, can't get to the target, it don't matter. So that's why defense, all the best fighters in the world have great defense. Yeah. So defense is usually what separates people.
Champ, always a pleasure, man. I love watching you on Pro Box, a huge fan. Thank you for your time.
Anytime.